Home is where connections are made, memories are formed, and ideas are born. And no one knows home better than NFM. Thanks for tuning in to I Am Home, the podcast that goes deeper than trends and dives into what it means to make your house a home.
Hello, podcast land, and welcome to I Am Home. I'm Tyler Weiskup, joined by my co-host who keeps this podcast as light and crispy as an air fryer. It's Becca Sudbeck.
Hi, Tyler.
Hi, Becca. And our other co-host can storm into any room and just blend it like Beckham. It's Hillary Waltemath.
Hey, Tyler.
Hi, Hillary. And this month, our theme is loving the home you have. Today's topic is a happy one. We're going to be talking about small appliances to help you bring the joy back to your kitchen. And we've got a special guest that we'll introduce officially in a moment, but super excited to have her. True expert on all things small appliances. And I know last time that we had her on, just episode was going crazy. People are like banging down the podcast walls to get to it. So excited to have her back. But let me tell you, before we do that, why we're even doing this podcast. And that's because NFM is more than just your everything home store. We're in the business of improving lifestyles because your home life should be your best life. And you can learn more at nfm.com. And we're on officially with our special guest, NFM's division merchandising manager and appliance superfan, Ivy Hofstetter.
Hi. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be back.
Yes.
We are over the moon to have you back, Ivy. Let me introduce you quick. You have been with NFM for over 10 years now at this point. Is that right? It's
almost 13.
13.
Yeah, like
fantastic.
Track, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You've worked all over in our appliance division. You're married. Last time you were on, we talked about you being a mom. I think we forgot. I forgot I had another kid. So I didn't have the information in front of me. You got a 6 and a 2-year-old?
Yeah.
Okay, Ivy, I've also found out that you're a Libra, which feels
Yes.
on brand for you.
How do you know that about me?
I had to ask around. What's it like being the fairest sign of them all? I'm told Libras are very fair and harmonious and that kind of thing.
Very balanced.
Yes.
I have always really enjoyed being a Libra. I don't know. Maybe everyone feels that way about their zodiac
Right.
sign.
I don't know anything
Yeah.
else. Though.
Yeah. You're like, okay, I'm going to really lean in hard because that's what I am.
That's who I am.
I really feel like aesthetics are a big thing for me, and that's a Libra thing.
Yes.
Mhm.
So, and relationships are really important. But I can understand how you can see both sides of things, right? Because that can be something that a Libra is known for. Is
Mhm.
maybe, I wouldn't say indecisiveness, but the ability to see both sides.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautifully put.
Harmony.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, fantastic. Ivy, again, I feel like that both-sidedness is going to be perfect for us to talk about the pros and cons of certain appliances and how they can help kind of like jazz up your kitchen, especially this time of year. It's cold. We're still looking for ways to kind of like get inspired in the new year. I think it's going to be a fantastic episode. So I wonder if we can start by talking about, like, obviously small appliances can make a big impact. What are some of the most functional appliances that can solve like some common kitchen frustrations that people have?
Well, I think one of the things that we're seeing a lot more in the industry and people are really in tune with is multi-purpose
Mhm.
and multifunctional appliances. So seeing appliances or buying appliances or being interested in appliances that do multifunctional things for you.
Mhm.
And so that's a big one. I think, being able to help consumers understand how they can use their appliances more efficiently and in multifunctional ways. So we saw that with the advent of pressure cookers, using those for things like boiling eggs
Mhm.
I love my pressure cooker.
Yes.
right, making yogurt, doing all
Yeah,
sorts
like,
of
I mean,
things.
you can like make dessert. You can make
Uh-huh.
eggs, rice, potatoes. Like, I mean, it's like
Oh, dang.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
if it's going to be on your countertop or if you're putting it in your arsenal,
Mhm.
what is it going to do for you and how do you maximize that? So I think that's still a really big thing for consumers. We're seeing a lot of our vendor partners going out there and manufacturing with space in mind. So like redesigning and redeveloping the footprint of something in your
Mhm.
kitchen. So for example, air fryers, another big category, have been growing and have continued to be relevant for quite some time now. They used to be side by side and really big. We see the silhouettes getting smaller. We see them stacked now. So you have like
Yes.
2 drawers stacked
Oh,
on
that
top
makes-
of each other.
That makes a
Interesting.
huge difference.
Yeah, so it makes a big difference in the footprint of your kitchen, in the way that you use it.
Mhm.
And so we're seeing a lot of that. And I think that's a cool thing when you're looking to invest in your kitchen and what you want to use. It's nice to know that you're going to pick something that you can do multiple things with. And so the functionality, the flexibility, those are some really big stories in appliances. And another thing too is the aesthetic. So designing something for small space living, but giving everyone else who isn't a small space dweller the ability to use that too. So like toasters that are really sleek and long, 2-piece toasters. They look like a longer toaster, and you can kind of back them in between something or back them up to a backsplash. And then the aesthetics of it, they're really beautiful pieces. So if you want to show them, great. But if you want to put them in a garage, like the small appliance garage, they fit in there really well too. So.
The small appliance garage. I'm not familiar with that term. What does that mean exactly?
Oh my gosh, I know. So I don't have one. I love that you have one. I want one. It's on my list.
It's pretty awesome.
It's amazing. So you should tell us about it.
I mean, so ours is like, it's like a hidden cupboard, and it's got like a pull-out drawer or whatever, but we have like our blender. I have my blender, my NutriBullet, the coffee maker, and the toaster oven.
Oh, cool.
All in there. And so they're all like plugged in and ready to go, but you can't see them. They're not out on the counter.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I love it because and ours is just like right underneath our microwave. So like it's got doors and you can like slide the doors back and you can pull it out and use it, but they're all like ready to use. Just I don't have to look at them every day. And we do use like those are the things we use almost every single day. So that's why those are the ones that we put in there.
The stuff you don't want out on your
Right.
counter because
But we use all the time.
It's not the most like sightly
Right.
thing. And you also aren't like digging it out of
Right.
the bottom cabinet, like pulling everything else out to get to it and then getting it plugged in.
Yeah.
Like it's ready to use, but
Yeah.
easy to conceal.
Yes.
Yeah. And what's
Interesting.
interesting is like when you look at the industry habits and things like that, millennials or like people kind of more in our age group are looking for like a cool aesthetic, but they want to hide them because we all want them off the counter.
Yeah.
Whereas like a little bit older generations or, that group of people, they're looking for like very simple, clean, not bold colors, but they want to leave them on the counter. And that's part of, you see that kind of with the trends
Right.
happening in small appliances now. And not that everyone follows that. That's just, that's something that we like to look at. So certainly there could be someone my parents' age that puts everything away. My parents do that. My mom is like a no countertop kind of queen, which I love because it keeps everything clean and nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in like creating some sort of garage, is that something like, you just take over maybe a couple cabinets and be able to kind of like build something potentially with a cabinet maker, electrician or something like that? Is that possible? Is that like what people are doing? I'm fascinated by this subject so far.
I think there's a number of ways to do it. I don't know if you built.
I mean, we built our house. And
Yeah.
so when we
Mhm.
were like putting our cupboards in, like I was like, okay, like I want to have these things plugged in a spot for them, but I don't want to see them. So that's, I mean, I'm sure you could though retrofit if you had a cupboard
Yeah.
and you had an electrician. I don't think it would be like all that difficult,
Right.
especially if you've got like the cabinet face already ready. And I mean, I would think you could do it,
Yeah.
especially if you've already got like under cabinet lighting or outlets under there or whatever. There's it's probably not that hard.
Right.
Also, I'm not an expert in that area though. So what I consider not that hard, maybe.
I think there's like different levels too. Like I remember, this is not like a current reference, but my grandma like had one of those like corner cabinets and it had like this door that like rolled back,
Yep.
like those roll desks.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like even like that, I think at that time was
Yeah.
appliance garage. So you still have to like pull things out. It's not like totally ready to use, but when it's like put away, it just looks like it's in a cabinet. So I think there's different degrees of like functionality and like expense that maybe you want to pursue.
Yeah. And if you want to
Interesting.
retrofit like DIY or if you're building and you want to spec it out, but I have seen a lot of different applications and I think that's so true. It's how does it work for you? What can you do with what you have? And, go from there. So,
Yeah. Well, I think it's just relevant to the idea of like helping to kind of like bring the joy back to your kitchen. Maybe it's like, I'm disgusted by seeing the appliances, but I want them because I want that functionality. And there's a lot of things that I want to be able to do with them. So it's a good suggestion for a lot of people to consider, something that they could potentially do. So I love this. Okay. What about you talked about air fryers and like how they're stackable now. Some of the small kitchens, and like getting skinnier profiles for a lot of these appliances, with space constraints. So we've got air fryers as one of those options. You talked about a toaster as one that can do that as well. Are there any other like smaller profile but still multifunctional ones that come to mind for you?
I think everything, the footprint has gotten smaller on nearly everything.
They're just able to build them smaller.
Yeah, it's and also one of the things that you're seeing is less of a footprint and higher up. So like leveraging that height, like the 2 baskets for the air fryer, but leveraging the height a little bit differently in kitchens. And one of the things that, when you look at appliances, this isn't unique to appliances, but it goes along with it, is like people are putting like lamps in their kitchens and like styling things a little bit differently. But I felt like the advent of that, when we started to see that, is when we started to see the height being considered differently, like under cabinet height, and utilizing that with appliances a little bit more. So I would just say we're seeing the direction and the shift towards that in nearly all like small appliance kinds of products as they revamp it.
I think I saw at my fiance sister and brother-in-law's house, I think it was like a Ninja like toaster oven almost that like flipped up.
Yeah.
So it's normally something that like takes the whole like depth of your counter, but when not in use, it like swiveled up. And so then you've got
so
that
like takes half as much.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't get like a totally good look at it, but I did a double take. And I
want to go over there and mess with it.
I was like so tempted, but
that's a good example.
Yeah.
There's griddles like that too, that like just flip up and go
smart.
Yeah, go up high. Like they become really sleek. And then I'm totally blanking right now, but that's a really great example. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. Or even like we had like a Ninja blender that I like had for years, and it finally like needed replaced. And so it's the same like base almost, but now it does like the individual cups. It also does like has the food processor like canister, and then also like the blender. And so like we're able to like donate so many like appliances and replace with one.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of like, and the thing I was thinking of is a waffle maker. So like you see they go out and then they flip up and like kind of are stored really neatly, in a sleek way. But yeah, I mean, I think that's what consumers, it's like, tell me why I need this. It's like, it's just not one purchase anymore. It's like, what can I do with it? Because the innovation's there, the technology's there. And really it's more the desire of how do I limit my purchases and do more with less,
Love that. Another functionality question that I have is like sometimes these small appliances are just like tough to clean. Are we seeing like any in the design that they're doing like function that makes it simpler for us to like pull apart and maintain and keep clean?
We do see some of that. I think that that's something that we see a lot more in the major side happening, like with nonstick or like grates that are on hinges and you can push them up and clean your whole stovetop or range or cooktop. So we're seeing a lot of that. And then streamlining so there aren't like filters, but like pockets where you can clean them easily. And that's in small appliances and in majors. So just like the cleanability story is really important. And we saw a lot more of a focus towards that starting in 2020 with COVID. COVID brought forward like a lot of things with sanitizing, cleaning, and that became more top of mind to the consumer. And so it was something that you saw kind of go into the plans as they continue to push out product. I think that's a great question.
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
thank you. I
did it myself.
I worked really hard on that. I'd love to kind of like pivot a little bit to just like more specifically about joy and inspiration. I feel like last time you were here, we talked about like fun recipes and things like that. I feel like sometimes folks are sticking to like maybe some of the standby, like old standbys that they have, and like a small appliance might inspire us to try some new things. Are there specific ideas or cooking experiments that you've seen out of some of like these gadgets that you can bring into your house?
Oh, absolutely. I think, I think I brought this up last time and I bring it up because I'm a fan, but KitchenAid stand mixers and attachments. The attachments are such a big part of that consumer journey and what they're using their stand mixer for. So our number one attachment is actually the pasta maker. And people,
so fun.
I know, it's so fun to do it at home, right?
I've actually talked to 2 people this week that got those over like Christmas, and they're like obsessed with them.
I love that.
Like they're like, I didn't know I needed one of
Mhm.
these, but like they love them.
It's
Mhm.
really so much more simple than you think it is.
Yeah, I think it looks intimidating if you've never used
Yes.
it before, right?
And
You're like,
like-
oh, I don't know. I don't think I can start. But
Mhm. And then after you have it, you're like, oh, like the box dried pasta.
how
It
did I
just-
live without
yeah,
this?
Yeah. And it's so fun. And it's like a nice way to like change up your usual spaghetti or whatever recipe. It's such a fun one.
I absolutely agree. And so I think that kind of, it's more experiencing your kitchen, experiencing that with your family, your friends. And I think that that's a really cool thing that you can do. And we talked about this a little bit before too, but like feeling capable
Mhm.
of doing those
Mhm.
things, like it's really empowering to be in your kitchen and to be capable and able to make these amazing things yourself. So the ability to get different pieces that take a stand mixer and make it into something else is also a multifunction, multi-use opportunity, but it makes meaningful and exciting moments in your own kitchen with whomever you choose to do that with. And I think that's kind of cool. And it brings that joy back in.
Yeah.
But like we talked about a lot about like making your own pizzas and things, but that's another example. When I didn't do it, I didn't miss it. But once I started doing it, I was like, oh my gosh, I can do this. I'm capable. And now my kids make pizzas with us. And same thing with pasta. It's like, oh my gosh, I didn't think about it before, but now it's such a cool and fun thing to do with your family. And it's really easy.
And carbs make us happy. So
Amen.
So true.
Especially in the wintertime.
I saw someone the other day on it was a very esteemed article I
On
watched
TikTok?
on TikTok.
That's Hillary's number one source.
Yes. Chronically Online. They put their KitchenAid stand mixer bowl like outside to freeze, and then they made blizzards. Yes, where they just took like a carton of Haagen-Dazs, and then they all had like their different little like mix-ins, and then the paddle attachment made like essentially a blizzard at home. So like ice cream is like a fun treat, but again, like the KitchenAid mixer is kind of a staple in the household. It comes with the stainless steel bowl usually, and it comes with that paddle attachment. And so it's again experimenting with the things that you've got.
I love that you brought that up because I put it on my list for this weekend to do with the kids because they're really into ice cream and anything that's like novelty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
mean, a blizzard's way better than just regular ice cream. Even
Yeah.
if you put like a
So true.
topping on it, it's just
Yeah.
better when it's mixed in.
so
Yeah.
true.
I told Dan, I was like, we should make blizzards. He's like, we have a Ninja Creamy. I'm like, well, this is still fun and different.
Another thing that we're seeing, so the Ninja Creamy was kind of the thing for a while, but like
Mhm.
this year, the slushy, the Ninja slushy, and so everybody's making
heard a
these
lot about that.
slushies.
Yeah.
It's such a big item. It was 150,000 pieces on back order, like
Oh,
over the
kidding.
holiday.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
my gosh.
crazy
Mhm.
back ordered. But it's a lot of fun, and it's like it's just kind of bringing that back into your home, kind of like we talked about. People are really getting into coffee and making like these really luxurious drinks for themselves at home. And it's like it's a cool thing to be able to do. And before, I would say 2020, a lot of people were just like, oh, I go to Starbucks, or oh, I do drip coffee. But then they got into coffee as a kind of a necessity, and they needed to do it. They couldn't go somewhere and get it as easily. And then it just booms into this, I'm capable. And now I'm like really into semi-automatic, making my own coffee from my espresso beans. And you never know. I mean, the sky's the limit, and people are interested in different things, but that coffee category continues to have relevance and grow every year. But that's another thing. I really enjoy making coffee at home. My husband does it every day for himself. I don't always drink coffee every day, but I like the ability to do it. I like that I can make these frothy lattes myself. It feels really cool. And we have everything we need. So when someone comes over, like people always want to make coffee and talk about it. So it's a lot of fun. And that again is just like, how are you experiencing things in meaningful ways? And how does this kitchen appliance help you do that? And I think that that's another example.
And they make like coffee makers are so beautiful. Like it is like a pretty thing that's displayed on your countertop. It's like come a long way from like the Mr. Coffee drip, just black. But they make like, whether you like drip coffee or semi-automatic, or you want the full espresso machine, like they're beautiful pieces to display on in your kitchen too.
Absolutely. And as everyone it was almost a Me Too for a while. So like brands that didn't have coffee makers got into coffee because it was such a big opportunity. And so now you're seeing like the evolution of that, like 3 or 4 years later, where, what would make this easier if I had wheels on the bottom of my coffee maker to put it back in my garage. And so you're seeing all these things come out now with these products as they go through their evolution. And it's really kind of cool to see it like continue to improve.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's a fun way too to like you were talking about like making coffee for friends that come over and being able to kind of it's kind of a simple activity, but the Blizzard thing is simple activity too. Just like I'm like, hey, we can all like chit chat while we're making something with this, and brings a lot of joy to people too, because you have a chance to kind of like have this little activity and then a tasty treat at the end of it.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of fun. Like my fiance's in his like bartending era. And so he's like always making fun drinks, but we've been having fun making like espresso cocktails. So like, of course the espresso martini is delicious, but the Carajillo is like the next like cocktail that's going to take over the espresso martini apparently. But like being able to like pull espresso shots to make really like fun, delicious drinks at home that would normally be like a $15 cocktail somewhere else. But we'll have friends over a lot and just like make fun cocktails, and like can do that because we've got something that pulls espresso shots.
And everything you post looks like it's from a magazine, like literally.
So elevated.
I know, it really is. I mean, it's almost like you do that. Good job.
The perks of living with a photographer,
Well, I mean, you both have you have this aesthetic, and then like the way it's captured, it's just perfect.
Yeah.
You're meant to be.
We have a lot of fun. Yeah.
I'd love to ask about like obviously this time of year, people are still like healthy and trying to like that's a big thing on people's mind is trying to figure out how do you like make sure that you're eating right. Are there like specific appliances and things that may help people in that journey if that's what they're on?
Yeah, I think really no matter what journey you're on, there's appliances to support and get behind on that. One of the things that's kind of cool when you talk about like innovation and something new is there's blenders now that like have recipes and count calories and keep track of things for you, which is not something that I thought of in the past. But those are big. Vitamix, we have, the Ninja, like blenders are a really big part of the business, especially this time of year, because people do kind of get into those resolutions. They want to do the right thing and get into it if they hadn't already. And so we see kind of a surge of that. Juicers, we saw more juicers come out last year, but the thing about juicers is
Cleanup.
the cleanup is
It's too much
difficult.
work, and it takes so much product
That's
to make
it.
like if you juice something, you have
Yeah.
like this table full of produce gives you one.
It's a
Nice.
rude awakening juice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why we kind of buy those if we want those or we add them to something because it's like, it's $100 of groceries for like 3 cups of juice.
Right.
And it's a lot of cleanup.
Yeah.
So we see that people are interested in those, but it hasn't really made a huge surge back just because it is kind of a barrier. There's a lot of barriers to juicing.
I would agree.
It's one of those that feels okay to outsource to let somebody else do.
1000%.
Agree.
Yes. I mean, in theory, I'm always like, oh, that would be so great. But then I'm like, yeah, no, there's just, by the time you clean all of that produce and have to actually physically juice it and then clean everything up, it's like, or I could have just gone somewhere and maybe it's a little easier.
Yes.
I
totally agree.
The blender, you were talking about like some of the functionalities on some of these that are different, like like it measures calories. Like seriously, is it like just a smart, does it have a weight scale in it? Like what's
there's Caloric is the brand that has probably the best experience out there so far, but yeah, it has scale and measure in it, but there's also programmed recipes. So if you use the recipe, it'll be able to keep track of that for you, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
And then one thing I'm thinking of that is big this time of year, and sometimes no matter who you are, it's all year, but meal prep too. So we do have a lot of solutions for meal prep that, we've got a segment within all of our small appliance areas that really addresses that. So if you're into meal prepping, here's what you need to be able to put it together and have what you need for the week. So that's a big thing, especially at the beginning of the year. So I'm not a big resolution person. I feel like you should be able to do things throughout the year.
Mhm.
And consistency is important, but little changes make a big difference. So you can do anything with a little change rather than try to change everything.
all at once.
Mhm.
Yep. And you can't boil the ocean. So, I mean, I just think sustainable wise, like it's been helpful for me in that approach through my life where my mom's always like 21 days makes a habit. And so that's the thing I've always kind of thought about. It's like, well, you know, if I focus on this one thing for 3 weeks and it is something that's stuck, then you just add on top of that for the next thing, you know?
Something that popped into my mind is we like desperately needed new like baking sheets. Like the ones that we had were like too old and like the nonstick was like essentially gone completely, and bought a couple on my way out of here one day, and just like the number of times they're like, man, this is so much easier and man, it's coming out so much nicer. And so like whether we were like conscious of it before, we were avoiding like roasting some things in the oven. We were like hesitant to do that, but now I'm like, okay, let's like try a few more other recipes that are like roasted or baked in the oven, now that we don't have to like break our back trying to get this thing clean afterwards. Or, you know, like it's just, maybe it's about like upgrading some of those things that aren't like performing that they should, and then you're more inclined to do it also, versus like maybe introducing something new. Maybe you just need like the upgrade or like the new technology on something that you're already using a lot.
Oh, that's a good point.
Or just replace something that's way past its life span
Yep.
as well.
Yep.
Because I'm sure a lot of us have that in our kitchen. We're like, I've had this cooking pan since we moved into this house, and it's been a while, and it's worth you maybe taking a look at how much food and crap is still on that thing.
Yeah. And you're like, well, I invested in this new stuff. We should probably cook with it.
I got this giant skillet for the holidays, and it was like something I didn't know I needed. And I was like, where did you get this? And they were like, NFM. I was like, oh, well, who knew?
Who'd have thought?
It's so great. But I love it. It's so like, I had this tiny little one, and like I have 5. I have my nephew over a lot too. So sometimes mostly 6 people at my house all the time. And 3 of those are growing boys. And like, this thing is giant, and like it made my life so much easier. Like I made them like Phillies the other night, and like everything stayed in the pan. It was amazing.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
I wanted to ask real quickly, when you were talking about like the meal prep, are you talking about like seal vac for your food and things like that? Is that mainly what you're talking about, or are there other things?
So we have that, but the containers for prepping is a big one. So the storage solutions and all the different pieces that go into that is a really big part of, especially this time of year, people are get really into it. So they go and they buy everything they need they like meal prep on a Sunday, and then they have all the containers for the week or whatever meal it is, they have them popped out. So a lot of storage solutions are really big this time of year.
Makes it way easier to keep your resolution too. If you like, you know, you can gear up for the motivation on that one day and get it done. And like, I think that's a smart one.
Yeah. Even like the like reusable baggies, like so you can like pre-portion stuff out, so it doesn't require like thought later. You can grab and go. You've got the portion that you like know is like just enough versus like having the whole bag. You know, there's like
never
those
take the bag.
Super helpful. Yeah.
Easiest way to fall off the wagon.
Okay. Unless it's almonds, in which case that's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
So it's
100 almonds. It's all help. Okay, Ivy, I think we're getting close to the end of our time. I wonder if we can wrap up. We've talked a lot about trends already, but is there anything that we didn't talk about that you're like dying to like hint at and let people know what's coming down the pipe?
I don't think that there's anything that I'm dying to get out, but I would say one of the things that I had thought of when you talked about like fun innovation is we have an indoor smoker. It's a GE Profile brand indoor smoker.
Wow.
And it's kind of cool. They're like the only ones in the market that have it right now, but it's really changing the way that people are looking at that as a possibility and cooking and smoking inside with it.
Yeah.
We had it showcased over Berkshire in May, and we cooked in it in the store, and it was the best thing ever because you could kind of smell like this amazing roast chicken, but like there was no smoke. It was like amazing. The experience is really cool.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that I wanted to mention
cool.
that I felt like was kind of a unique one of a kind that's out there.
Yeah.
No one else is doing it right now.
And we don't have to go out in the 7-degree temps to like check on it or.
Yeah.
That sounds glorious.
It's a great innovation.
And
Yeah.
talk about a meal prepper's dream.
Right.
Get three chickens in there.
Yeah.
You're good.
Well, Ivy, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you slow cooking this episode and to perfection as per usual. We expected. I also want to thank our co-hosts Becca and Hillary, our producers Ann and Scott, all our listeners, and last thing, but it's the most important, we're giving out free home life advice on NFM/podcast. Okay, you just go there, you can fill out a form and just ask us all the questions that you have. So check us out. That'll do it for us today. But remember, as always, that home is what you make it.
Thanks for joining us today for I Am Home with Tyler Weisskopf, Hillary Waltemath, and Becca Sudbeck. No one knows home quite like NFM. So if you'd like more information on home design at NFM, please check out nfm.com and leave us a review on the podcast platform of your choice.